You guys, this is probably the best truffle I have ever made. You have requested a fried jalapeno, but I stepped it up a notch and made a jalapeno popper truffle. Say that 3 times fast. As always, start out by spreading your cheese on the bottom of your waffle maker. I used a 6 Italian cheese blend on this one, and I know freshly shredded cheese is better for you. Then you top that with some jalapenos and some bacon, and then add the final cheese. Close the lid, cook for 4 to 5 minutes, longer if you want it crispier. Remove and add some cream cheese on top, or enjoy it plain if you don't want cream cheese. You guys be sure to check out the link in our bio for a recipe group.
Last night I saw a recipe for green tea chocolate bark, and I was like, maybe it's like green tea Kit Kats, and I just had to make it, of course. First, you're going to melt white chocolate in a double boiler method so it doesn't burn, and make sure not to boil it. Just keep stirring those lumps out. That's all you gotta do. Then take a little bowl with some tahini and some matcha powder, like 1 spoonful, and 1 spoonful of your melted white chocolate, and mix that all up until it's a nice little froggy, disgusting color actually. And then you're going to spread out your white chocolate on a sheet with parchment paper, then swirl that matcha in with a little knife. And then I put a little bit of orange zest because that's what they did. And you freeze it, and it's amazing the next day. It's so.
Get out your Windex, because it's time for some Greek comfort food. This is everything we're gonna need. 1/4 cup olive oil, add our onions, then add the garlic, a mini can of tomatoes, and 2 pounds of beef. A little bit of red wine. What do you do with the extra? Cook till all that red wine evaporates. Can of diced tomatoes, sugar, cinnamon, clove, and bay leaf. Cover and simmer for 30. For the bechamel sauce, we need butter. Slowly whisk in your flour, like so. Add 30 ounces of milk in small batches so it doesn't get lumpy. That boy thick! 2 egg yolks, salt, pepper, and a pinch of nutmeg, and shredded Parmesan. And stir your business. Boil some bucatini. It's like a thick spaghetti with a hole in the middle. Let's lube up our casserole dish. Drain your pasta. 4 ounces of feta cheese and 2 egg whites. Mix it all softly. And let's layer the bottom of the pan. Add a layer of our meat sauce, top with your bechamel, and after 45 minutes in the oven.
A bag of frozen tortellini, a can of diced tomatoes, an entire box of chicken stock, a block and a half of cream cheese, season and brown whatever meat you like, add to a crock pot with a small bag of spinach, and cook on high for 4 hours.
I'm not exaggerating when I say that this recipe changes lives. You can read the reviews on my website if you don't believe me. These cumin stewed chickpeas are such a comfort food for me already, so it was a no-brainer for the first dinner of my vegan challenge. I want to mention that it's definitely similar to some South Asian dishes, albeit with some untraditional quirks, and I do not mean to take credit for this recipe or cooking style. This is actually a recipe that my friend showed me a couple years ago, and she's also the author of it on my website. I started frying off shallots, 8 cloves of garlic, and Swiss chard stems in generous olive oil, seasoned with lots of cumin, red pepper flakes, salt, and pepper. You should mash your chickpeas at this step, but I always forget and have to do it later. By the way, Trader Joe's brand chickpeas take a lot longer to cook than most brands. But add water and just simmer it until it's soft. The mashed chickpeas, seasoned water, and olive oil inexplicably make this almost creamy. Then just swirl in the charred leaves. You could also use kale or spinach. I like this best with rice and lots of citrus. It's also good on toast or with pasta. Have you tried this recipe yet?
It's hard to make Brussels sprouts taste delicious, but you can. They're Asian. Inspired.
1 pound Brussels sprouts. Wash them. Don't be dirty. Dry them.
Halved. Peanut oil. Kosher salt. Pepper. Spread them out so they cook evenly. 400 degrees until caramelized. Slow your roll. Flavor's coming. 2 cloves, minced garlic.
1 tablespoon minced ginger.
2 bird's eye chili. Makes it spicy.
Wok.
Let it rip. Medium-high heat. 2 tablespoons peanut oil.
Chilies in.
Saute until you can smell the garlic. 2 tablespoons soy. 2 tablespoons mirin.
1 teaspoon cornstarch slurry.
Once it's thickened like that, cut the heat. Add the roasted Brussels sprouts. Mint. Cilantro, because you fancy.
How to make savory peanut noodles. Add peanut butter, soy sauce, oyster sauce, sesame oil. Mix well and add sugar to preference. Boil wonton noodles. Add starchy water to sauce. Drain noodles. Mix noodles with sauce. And top with scallions.
Let's make roasted salsa. You're gonna start out by getting your pan hot with a little bit of oil. Go in with 3 tomatoes, 1 jalapeno, half of a red onion, 2 dry chili peppers, and 3 cloves of garlic. Shake everything around that oil. Now season with salt and pepper, and once all your veggies are beautifully blistered like this, you're gonna throw everything into a blender or a food processor and give them a quick blitz. Go in with some fresh cilantro and green onions, blend again, serve, and enjoy.
Today, we're taking scallops to the next level.
Season and sear your fresh scallops. I'm using the beefer. Chop your crispy bacon, vibrant blood orange, and champagne, velvety pink beurre blanc sauce. Coat your scallops down the bacon runway. Caviar and a fleck of gold as the finishing touch. Textures, flavors, silky buttery bites of bliss.
That's amazing.
By popular demand, the epic wrap is back in a dessert edition. These wraps have changed my life and I'm completely obsessed. Make a cut halfway down a wrap. For the filling, I've gone with peanut butter, banana, strawberries, Nutella, and hazelnuts. Toasting it makes the ultimate difference as the strawberries become like jam. It's sweet and salty, crunchy heaven.
Want to make the easiest rustic bread? Looks like you bought it from the bakery, but it's ingredients that you probably already have in your own house. Let's get started.
To a cup and a half of warm water, add 3/4 of a tablespoon of yeast and half a tablespoon of salt. Let that sit for 10 minutes and then add in 3.5 cups of flour. You're gonna stir it so you don't see any dry patches and cover it and put it in a warm place to rise for about 2 hours. Uncover it and then you're gonna pull it out of it and then gather the bottom so it makes a nice ball and put it on a piece of parchment paper. Sprinkle it with flour and slash it 3 times, that helps the dough rise. You're gonna let it rest for 40 minutes. Then put it into a hot oven. Shout out to the brisket I roasted for smoking up my entire oven. And then you're gonna bake it for about 450 degrees. Throw some ice cubes in the bottom for some steam, close your oven, and bake it for 23 minutes. Nice and golden brown, and you can cool it before you cut it, or like us, cut it right now and melt your butter.
Happy New Year! Let's make mushroom pasta. First, cut your onions. Olive oil into a pan. Onions. Cut mushrooms. Add salt and pepper. Add some chicken broth. Cut smoked Gouda cheese. Add heavy cream. Add smoked Gouda and pecorino cheese. Salt your pasta water. Add your pasta. Today I'm using fettuccine. Add in some pasta water. Add pasta to mushroom mix. Fantastic.
Everyone was obsessed with these gooey butter bars, and guess what? You can make them too. Line a 13 by 9 inch pan with foil and liberally grease with non-stick spray. In a bowl, combine 2.5 cups all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup powdered sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, and a pinch of nutmeg, and then drizzle in 12 tablespoons of melted butter and work it all together by hand. Mash it into the pan and cook it a couple times with a fork to help it rise evenly, and bake it for 20 minutes in a 350 degree oven. That crust will need to cool, so meanwhile, go ahead and beat together 8 ounces of cream cheese, 8 tablespoons of butter, and then work in 4 cups powdered sugar in batches and whip it until it's fluffy. Then work in 2 eggs plus 2 egg yolks and 2 tablespoons of vanilla and beat it all together at high speed for another 2 or 3 minutes. Spread this lusciousness all over the cooled shortbread layer and then bake it all together for another 30 minutes. This will need to cool for a couple hours at least before you cut into the decadent, melt in your mouth, gooey sweet butter cake bars.
Okay, I'm making a fun little drink for my girls. It's so dang cute and so easy. It's a dollar store. They're little plastic ones. Put the whole rim of it in Cool Whip. Get sprinkles and cover the whole top of the Cool Whip with sprinkles. So cover the whole top like that, and then use whatever drink you want. I'm using 7-Up. Fill it up. A piece of cotton candy and drop the cotton candy in. And then you take another piece of cotton candy to put at the top.
To know Chopped in New York is to love her, but I can't afford her, so I make their Mexican goddess dressing at home. I think it's better than the real thing. Throw in a clove of garlic, jalapeno, handful of cilantro, and an avocado. They use tomatillos, but an easy cheap swap is a can of diced chilies, so that goes in there, the juice of 2 limes, and blend it up. it's looking a little too thick, I add a splash of apple cider vinegar, and it's creamy, perfect, and delicious. I throw it on top of this salad, and I'll show you how I make that tomorrow. Enjoy!